Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack a reality that you literally cannot escape, no matter how hard you try. Whether you're just navigating your academic career or you're stepping out into the corporate world, teamwork is absolutely everywhere. So we're going to break down exactly why organizations rely so heavily on teams, why they succeed, why they catastrophically fail, and most importantly, how you can actually survive and thrive within them.
I absolutely love this quote by organizational development consultant Bonnie Edelstein. She says, "A group is a bunch of people in an elevator. A team is also a bunch of people in an elevator, but the elevator is broken." It just perfectly captures that intense, sudden shift, right? You go from simply sharing a space with some individuals to being completely forced to rely on one another to survive a shared predicament. When that elevator breaks, individual goals vanish, and a shared goal, getting out, completely takes over.
Section 1. The Power of Teamwork. To truly understand high-stakes teamwork in action, let's look at a real-world example of a broken elevator scenario in the business world. We're talking about the incredible, highly stressful, and ultimately triumphant success story of the Motorola Droid Razr. So by winter 2003, Motorola, a company that honestly used to run circles around its competition, was really losing its edge. Consumers were bored with their designs, and the company had bumped all the way down to the number 3 slot in worldwide sales. They desperately needed a massive hit, so they formed a specialized, cross-functional team of electronic engineers, mechanical engineers, and designers. Their mission was clear, but wow, was it daunting. Create an ultra-trim, fashionable phone that would just completely take the market by surprise.
The number 53 became their ultimate gamble. See, when developing the phone, the team was actually warned by company specialists that no phone wider than 49 millimeters could be held comfortably in a human hand. But building an innovative, high-tech product means mastering the art of the trade-off. The designers and engineers had to negotiate some really conflicting demands between state-of-the-art functionality and a razor-thin aesthetic. So together, they passed the physical model around, worked through a consensus, and finally landed on a 53mm design. They ignored the warnings, took a huge gamble, and it paid off massively. That 53mm phone skyrocketed, shipping 50 million units by mid-2006.
Section 2. Anatomy of a Team.
Now, the Razr wasn't just a win for Motorola. It was a total masterclass in collaboration. But what exactly separated that specific group of designers and engineers from any other department in the company? Well, there's a core difference we really need to grasp here between a working group and a true team. A working group is just a collection of individuals. Think of department managers who maybe meet up monthly to report independent progress to each other. They're only accountable for their own separate goals. A team, on the other hand, is entirely different. A true team functions interdependently. They share accountability for achieving specific common goals. They actually hold decision-making power, and crucially, they require complementary skills to function. I mean, you can't build a Razr with just engineers, right? You absolutely need the designers, too. This intense interdependence brings us straight to the cross-functional team. The Razr's success came specifically from cutting right across the organization's traditional boundaries. Instead of designers just throwing a concept over a wall to the engineers, they worked side by side to resolve trade-offs in real time. This is exactly why a company like Nike uses cross-functional teams that include not just designers and marketing specialists, but accountants, coaches, and professional athletes to develop their new gear. It brings every single necessary perspective to the table all at once.
Section 3. Why teams succeed or fail.
Okay, let's dive into why organizations are so incredibly obsessed with building these teams in the first place. Because you might be surprised to learn that according to the research, 50 to 70% of team-based projects actually fail. That is a staggering failure rate. So why on earth do companies keep pushing for them? Well, despite that high risk, when teamwork is actually effective, the rewards are undeniable. Companies report massive, tangible improvements across the board. We're talking a 70% improvement in product and service quality, a 67% boost in customer service, and a 66% increase in worker satisfaction. When a team clicks, it elevates the entire organization's performance far beyond what any individual could pull off alone. But we definitely have to address the flip side. Teams need cohesiveness to succeed. Members need to get along and trust each other, for sure. But there is a deadly dark side to group cohesiveness, and that's groupthink. This happens when members conform way too much to group pressure. Basically, in the name of harmony, they suppress fresh ideas, they fail to think critically, and they completely lose sight of outside influences and larger organizational goals.
And the tragic real-world cost of groupthink is perhaps best exemplified by the Space Shuttle Challenger. In January 1986, the shuttle exploded shortly after liftoff. Now, engineers from a component supplier had actually warned that the launch might be risky because of the cold weather. But those warnings were completely set aside. Why? Because NASA officials wanted the launch to proceed exactly as scheduled, and group consensus pressured everyone to conform to that timeline. It's a very sobering reminder that a team's failure to think critically can have literal, catastrophic consequences.
Section 4. Playing your part.
So you aren't just a passive observer in a group. You personally influence your team's success or failure through the specific behaviors and roles you choose to take on. Every team faces two fundamental challenges: getting the assigned task done and maintaining the group's chemistry. This requires two types of roles. Task facilitating roles are all about giving direction, monitoring progress, and enforcing decisions. But equally important are relationship-building roles, supporting your peers, harmonizing when people disagree, and relieving tension. To be an invaluable team member, you really have to find a healthy balance between pushing hard for results and actively supporting your colleagues.
And if you aren't careful, you might unconsciously fall into blocking behaviors. Things like dominating the conversation, overanalyzing every minor detail, stalling progress by rehashing old ideas, or pulling rank over others. These behaviors are just toxic. They destroy morale, they hamper the consensus building we just talked about, and they basically guarantee your team becomes part of that 70% failure statistic. Recognizing these behaviors in yourself and others is the first crucial step to stopping them.
Section 5. Surviving and leading teams.
Because whether you're currently dreading an upcoming college group project or you're preparing to lead a major project team in your future workplace, you need actionable strategies. To actually enjoy these projects and get a great result, you gotta follow a few rules. First, draw up a team charter early on, so everyone knows the goals and the ground rules. Second, commit to your team meetings and deadlines as if they were mandatory classes. Just never miss them. Contribute your ideas, because staying quiet helps absolutely no one. Figure out what each member is actually good at and use those strengths. And finally, completely resist the urge to just lone wolf it and do all the work yourself. The output is often way less important than the experience of actually learning how to collaborate.
Ultimately, as one student perfectly put it in our source material, life is all about group work. You aren't always going to choose your teammates, and you definitely won't always naturally get along with them. But effective leadership isn't about commanding people around or doing it all yourself. It's about influencing others, generating positive energy, and building deep trust. So as you step into your next group project, ask yourself, when the time comes and you suddenly find yourself in that broken elevator, what kind of leader will you be? How will you step up, navigate the differing personalities, and guide your team safely to the top floor? Think about that, and use the tools we explored today to actually make it happen.